This is kind of like the third version of this video, I think. I don't do a lot of editing at this time. I will in the future, but the writing projects that I have, they're sort of ongoing. There's, okay, so in chronological order, there's the sci-fi setting. I call it the main sci-fi setting. Basically, it's something that me and my brother have been working on for over 10 years. That is, well, it's got a few things. One is a medieval time. It's like for like 20,000, 30,000 years or something crazy. They basically were in that stage because of relative isolation, and the glaciers were up, and it was just hard to travel, and food was plentiful. So, yeah, so that's one, and then the other one is the crime. Part of it's a crime novel. Part of it is how they became a multiplanetary species and colonized locally, and also how they gained higher technology. It was partly through biological longevity. So they have several within the story. The ones I call the Forerunners. It's just a placeholder name. I'll find something else to call them. But the ones I call the Forerunners, they are several human hominoid species, actually different races like Neanderthals, Cro-Magnons, things like that, or whatever the equivalent would be there, and they merged over time, one with the other, so that most of them are larger than a human, probably faster, and probably smarter than the average human. Now, it's revealed, of course, it's revealed that the ancients, they're kind of like an not octopi, but that's sort of the equivalent. They're much larger than an octopus, but they're an octopi species. They intervened on their planet. They took away like hornets and most wolf species, and a lot of nasty stuff, sharks from the ocean, things like that. They preserved them, but they. But the cat's wrecking the place. They wanted them to have a thorough history of a certain period of time when life was good. And the thing is, life continues to be good because they make it that way. But they have a firm understanding of what makes life good and what does not make life good, essentially. Not to get too meta on it, but that's kind of what it boils down to. Now, the ancients, the octopi-ish species, they evolved on a hell world. Not hell, but very, 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 very harsh. Everything's trying to eat. The default is things that are trying to eat them are toxic, poisonous, extremely, extremely deadly. They have a natural healing factor that's much, much faster than humans. Like, it would be almost visual, the rate of healing. Especially if it's a small cut or something. They can do neuroregeneration. They can't recover the memories, but they can recover their capacity, their brain capacity. So they are very long-lived indeed. In fact, they're somewhat like biologically immortal. Not quite, perhaps, but they would live a long time, millennia. Somebody ate them, of course. But they are shepherd species. So are the forerunners, but they took different paths. The ancients tend to be more scientists, historians, collectors, tinkerers, something like that, observers perhaps. The forerunners tend to be more stereotypical. They have a more typical society, an empire. Although they don't have the role of emperor, it's yeah, they have a military that they hire out for. They have sort of a trade zone, kind of like a super eurozone, but it's for space, and they participate in the universe market, which is something that I'll get into a lot more. Another aspect of it is that there's an invasion of Earth from a hostile alien species that are trying to make us into chimeras and eventually into them, and it just they're a rogue element of an empire. So that's interesting. It's something like zombies. So that'll be there. But Earth is a vacation destination for some of their mercenaries. So these ones, there's probably a couple thousand of them, let's say, on the planet. They essentially stop what they're doing, or continue what they're doing in some cases, and form into the units, and they go off and fight the aliens with great success, because they initiate a plan to help humanity, that involves some select humans, specifically mostly military, but others as well, being enhanced to be like them rapidly, like in a matter of days or weeks. Yeah. So then the fleet arrives and kicks the aliens' asses, and then the story progresses from there. And I think it can be very interesting, and I want to make a whole world about that. Um, the second one is my comic line, which is going to involve a character called Lord Absurd. He's not a he exactly, but he mostly manifests as a he, so it appears that way. So it's fine. It's what's interesting about him. I want to make him really interesting. Obviously, is that he's a cosmic being, but he's not like most of the Marvel cosmic beings, and some of them are quite interesting too. But he's different because um, he's somewhat tied to certain concepts, if you will. Um, but that's what makes him a superhero in some ways. Anyway, I'll get into him a lot more, and into the universe I want to create with this. One of the important things is that the universe is not connected to the multiverse. There is a multiverse in my comic line, or there will be, but the universe he's working in is not connected to the multiverse, so he's not affecting alternate versions of himself or his opponents, nor are they affecting him on a quantum level. So that is an interesting angle that I think people might find compelling. The third one is what I call the main supernatural setting. I mean, we'll call it something else, obviously. Um, that one, um, I've mostly developed that on my own. I have discussed it with my brother before, and like, for example, I was talking to him about. I was like, something in our setting, God isn't a god; he's a primordial, and well, anyways, that was kind of an interesting observation. So what are the elements? Let's see, fallen angels and angels have the same powers. It just one is heaven aligned and one is not. So in other words, the fallen angels, and not all of them were originally from the fall. They fall all the time for all sorts of reasons. The fallen angels are pursuing alternative paths or something other than divine will, which divine will can be interpreted as meaning what is in the best interest of this universe, because God created this universe, therefore he knows how to best direct events accordingly, according to its best interest. Also, in the comic, you will not see God. You'll see probably representations of him, her, it, God, whatever you want to call them. And that's interesting too. We're going to get into the different aspects of God as well. And it is explicitly said that in the setting that God did not directly, in this comic, he did not directly inspire any holy works. He may have directly inspired all of them or a lot of them. Seeing as they're from this universe, but there's also things outside of this universe that screw with things one way or the other, and that's part of what makes it so interesting. It's not just sin that screws with things. It's aliens, literally aliens. That plus the supernatural is known to people, and people can use magic. We call it mana, but it's magic. And it's not about how much mana someone can use or wield. It's other abilities as well. That's not the only thing. That's not the only thing that matters. Even in magic, there's all sorts of different magic systems. For example, so there's angels. There's also demons. Demons are denizens of hell. They're not fallen angels in this. Fallen angels are generally more powerful, although, well, demons can be seen as aliens, the original denizens of hell. Hell is a place that is very hard to define how large it is. Some of it's quite bizarre. There's a lot of people, entities in it. It's very difficult to. Some of them operate on microscopic level. Some of them are giants. Some of them are all in between. There's dragons. There's all sorts of things. Now, there's a few major elements, as I said. It's going to start with hunting. Hunters. Sort of like Supernatural, except they are not making it up, essentially, as it goes along. We have a lot of already Supernatural or shows like that to draw inspiration from. We would have canon lore. There wouldn't be a revelation that angels are real or any of that. They're very real. They're sanctuaries. They're obvious. They're right there on the open. Earth is a nexus planet. That's why it's so important to a lot of people, a lot of entities. That essentially means that a lot of portals or weird happenings will happen on the planet in various places. Now, the main categories are angels, demons, the fallen, the fairy, or the Fey realm, essentially, and all that happens there, and the dragons. Dragons are shape-shifting species, but they look like our dragons, or they can. They often do. They're incredibly powerful. They generally create and or maintain stable universes, or they aid in the stability of said universes. And I've toyed with the idea of an invasion of this universe, but I'm not sure. We'll have to look into that. But that's what I'm doing. And there's also some sort of short story type things. Like there's one with a character that um, mumbles like unintelligibly, but writes very well, and sometimes writes notes to people, and people can't figure out why they mumble, like why they can't or won't communicate normally. Um, but it's an interesting concept. Maybe it's something of a writing prompt. I don't know, but I like the concept, and I wanna go somewhere with it. But there may be an update about that too. But we'll see. I am getting more interested in writing in general, by the way. So I I'm planning to share some of that with people here on YouTube. I may read excerpts. I may write a little bit, or do a teaser type thing, and there probably will be a blog associated with it. Probably on WordPress. I love WordPress. So that noise in the background, by the way, is my cat, our cat, mine and my brother's, getting into the garbage. It's almost empty, so it's not a big deal. But you can't really train a cat not to do that. So it's just you kind of clean up after them, and hopefully you don't put whatever you put in the garbage next time. You gotta. There's a couple of things with cats. One is if you're punishing them, if you're disciplining them, don't punish them. By the way, if you're disciplining them, they have to know exactly what they did wrong, and you need to do it immediately, right after they've done it, and they need to know what offended you. It should be something that you've already told them about and asked them not to do. Then they know not to do it. Then you reinforce it with something mildly unpleasant to them. And then the other thing is that they get into mischief, just sort of by their nature, in general. Obviously, individuality matters a lot with them. So it's important not to sweat the small stuff with them, because if someone was like really getting upset about the cat being on the counter, they're not going to stop. They're not going to. It's absolutely hopeless. They'll do it when you're asleep, whatever. They go where they want to go. It's actually the height thing. Like our cat Omega, he goes onto the fridge and then onto the upper. It's sort of like it's sort of like up there, except on the other side of the kitchen. He goes there because he likes the vantage. It seems like it's mostly when I'm in the room, or when we're in the room. So he likes being around us. He likes to keep us company. Cats are passive in their own way, but they're also very they're social in their own way, and they have emotions, and I think they're well on the way to sentience. A good amount of intelligence. Omega's pretty smart for a cat. He's like Raymond, my old cat. In that way, he's got a good personality, and he's smart, lively. Those are his whiskers. He's rubbing the laptop. Yeah, I really like cats. I like dogs too. I want to get Well, I want to get a number of them, but eventually. But maybe a King Charles Spaniel, but we'll see. Not now. Yeah, he's a really good cat. Omega, come here. Omega, come here. Come here, baby. Come on up. Yeah, here's Omega. Yeah, he goes. He's affectionate with us usually. Um, he can be a bit antisocial when there's new people. He's purring right now. They're not exactly sure why cats purr, except that it's a sign that they're satisfied with their life, content, happy. I think it's their version of happiness. Maybe even joy. Some people say happiness is the goal of life, but I think joy is better. It's not as consistent, of course, because um, well, because life gets in the way. But I don't know. Animals are more satisfied with life than we are, though. So I think they default to happiness more easily than we do. And there's a saying that I like. It says, man is the only creature that refuses to be himself. The most maladjusted people I've ever met, that applies to. An outright refusal to be themselves. And it's difficult. It is difficult to be ourselves, I think. And that's okay. But we learn. We have to be teachable, basically, in order to change proactively in life, because life is going to change things anyways, so we might as well be proactive about it. Anyways, that's my thoughts on that. So some exciting things are happening. I will keep you updated. Now, I'm not sure how consistent I will be. I do have some medical issues that may come up at different points. They're not necessarily. Yeah, he likes to play, and sometimes he uses his claws, and that can be a bit dangerous, unpleasant. But we like him anyways. He brings so much joy to our lives, I have to say. He's yes, he is very good company. So that was one of my earliest entrepreneurial things. Was a desire to breed animals. I think I'm going to go in a different direction initially, but that was one of the first. So, hold on. Well, yeah, he's getting feisty, so we're gonna end the video right now and pick up at another juncture.